Hello and welcome back to the channel. My name is Krashy, and today I want to talk a little bit about this new update, but specifically with this new update, talking about the ranked mode and matchmaking and all of these nitty-gritty things that we like to talk about. Now, I know what you're thinking. Yay, Krashy's just going to complain again. But I'm actually not. I'm here to tell you that I think that this new update has actually done way more good for the game than I think I could have really imagined. Now, when it comes to the ranked mode, there are some key things that I really am looking forward to, assuming that it ever happens. The main one being like a solo duo queue only. I think, when explaining that kind of desire, it's easy for me to explain how, having 5-stack teams in ranked kind of slightly kills incentives for anybody that's not 5-stacking to try to play seriously and to try to grind the leaderboard, and that's still true. However, now that the point gain for Masters rank is more skewed towards the side of winning and gaining points, that's not entirely the only way to build incentives for playing the game. So what I've realized is that they made it to where in the past, let me start over. In the past, they actually had it to where, when you would lose a game, you would lose a lot of points, and you would win a game, you would win a little bit of points, right? That's kind of the TLDR of it. But now they have it flipped, where when you lose a game, you lose a little bit of points, but when you win a game, you're winning a considerable amount more, or at least a little bit more. I think so far, the closest I've had it is I'm usually losing about 7 points per loss, and I'm gaining anywhere between 9 and 10. So the change isn't super crazy, the difference between the two isn't super crazy, but the change itself is actually really, really good for the game because, we were kind of in a position where it just felt really, really pointless to play the game, and now I am finding myself climbing and, wanting to play and spending a lot more time on the game because there actually feels like there's purpose. Now, don't get me wrong, I think everybody will still go on loss streaks. I think that everybody will still not have the best teammates per se, and everybody will still experience issues. But the fact that there is mere incentive now, I'm currently, I think I'm almost 1600, top 3K in the world, something like that. And I've been mostly playing duo and trio queue, and, very little actually, I don't think I 5-manned at all. Have I 5-manned? No, I haven't 5-manned at all since the update. I've only played a couple tournaments since the update. And I'm consistently and sustainably climbing. Now, this leads me to the tinfoil hat section of this video. There's a couple theories I have. I either feel like they did change matchmaking and didn't say anything about it, which we're going to talk on here in a second, or I feel like the change to the point game is making whatever current matchmaking they had, or whatever, matchmaking they had in place, is actually working properly. So, one thing I've noticed is that it is definitely still possible to get ultras and veterans in your games. That one was kind of a hypothesis I had early on, that you couldn't, and that was debunked. But I think that the matchmaking might be a bit of a tighter range. Now, it's really, really impossible to kind of to notice that. It's impossible to tell. And maybe it's not. Maybe there's a couple things I'm thinking here. Maybe it's not actually changed, but maybe because the points are, kind of putting people higher up, the more consistent players are actually climbing slightly away from the less consistent players. And then maybe there were point brackets, or maybe there are now some point brackets for matchmaking that are putting me with players of similar skill. And therefore, if you're a Masters player that's sitting around 50% win rate or less, you may not be queuing into Master players who are around me, which is 58% win rate and kind of consistently climbing. I don't know. I actually don't know. Another thought that I have, and this one is an interesting theory, is that maybe it's neither of those. Maybe it's neither of those, and maybe it's just because people know they can climb, they're trying harder. And maybe people want to win more. I mean, I know myself now that, when you have a system that kind of doesn't feel worth your time, you kind of just do whatever. I would tend to play the game with less intention on winning and more intention on fun, because you kind of have to, right? Otherwise, why are you playing the game? I would play the game and just pick whatever, Pokemon I wanted, and not really care too much about like the meta or anything like that. But now, I think because it's actually obtainable to climb and go higher, we might be seeing a cultural shift in player behavior. And that's really, really important, because a system that is important and feels worth your time is a system worth playing, whereas a system that feels like a waste of your time and, literally kind of was a waste of your time, it's just that much harder to take it seriously. So I'm definitely very interested in your thoughts. So drop me a comment if you would. Let me know what you're thinking about the current matchmaking system. If you're outside, this is a really important one. If you're outside of Masters, I haven't played any games outside of Masters. I'm pretty much only playing on my one main account. And outside of Masters, I know they did some changes to performance points, but I'm not actually sure what that meant. It seems like, and this is what I've been told about other Pokemon games, like maybe like Pokemon like ranked battles or whatever for battles in like Sword and Shield, is that it seems like the ranked mode is essentially like a kind of onboarding process to get everybody to Masters, and then once you have Masters, that's kind of where the ranked mode truly begins. And I think that if that's the case, that's honestly fine, because you can have the majority of the player base in Masters and then have good matchmaking in Masters to where your MMR, your ELO, whatever you want to call it in Masters, is what acts as like your true rank. And I've heard that before. People have said that about Unite before. The problem is that like it doesn't really matter when you're getting consistently thrown in with Vet and Ultra players. But I'm not gonna lie, and maybe this is obviously very anecdotal and might not mean anything at all, but it feels like I'm getting way less Ultra players and veteran players. It feels like max it's maybe one on a team, like consistently. Like it's just like anytime I do get a person that's non-Masters, it feels like it's maybe one. And I think maybe a couple times I've had like one or two total. Like I think I had one game where I had a vet and an Ultra and then everybody else was Masters, and even that game, like I don't remember it feeling too terribly. And so we might be experiencing some rank changes, some matchmaking changes that we just don't know about. We might be experiencing a big cultural shift. I think that one is actually pretty likely over anything else. But realistically, it could be a mixture of the two. So, like I said, friends, I'm very curious to hear your thoughts in the comment section down below. To me, it definitely feels like there's been some kind of matchmaking changes and some reason why just playing the game feels so much better. Think about a situation where, I stream, 5 nights a week, and I'm playing, 5-6 hours of the game roughly. Let's just say 4 hours, with intermissions and hanging out. I'm playing 4 hours of the game, and I might fit in, a bunch of games. Like the other night, I think I went 11-8 on stream, and like an 11-8 performance, 11 wins, 8 losses, would not even have gained me very much. It just wouldn't have. But in this current system, that's actually worth your time. I'll probably go up by like 60 points or something like that in that kind of a session. So, as always, friends, let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Drop a like on the video if you wouldn't mind. It definitely helps me out. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. And yeah, we'll have all kinds of new Pokemon Unite content. Streams 5 nights a week. I can't wait to see you there. So, be sure to be kind to one another. Tell someone that you love them. And I'll see you on the next video.